Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. The Bears host the Packers in a few hours, and I am amped. Tony, you got to say something to tamp me down.
Tony Kornheiser, doink, doink.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
Where is he this year? He's not with the Bears, right? You got a new guy, don't you?
We got a new guy, but I don't know if the new guy's any better than the old guy.
Is that right?
We don't know.
Eddie Pinheiro, is that your new guy?
We don't know anything.
Cody Parkey's where? Where is he now?
Really?
Oh, you don't even want the name in.
It's the new football season. I don't want to hear that name.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Colts turned down a big offer. Lonzo rips his own shoes, and Tony Dungy joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today yet again with drama surrounding Antonio Brown. Brown reportedly got into a shouting match with Raiders general manager Mike Mayock, who recently fined Brown for missing a day of camp. During the shouting, Brown threatened to hit Mayock in the face, according to the NFL Network. After the shouting, Brown reportedly punted a ball in anger and said to Mayock, quote, "Find me for that," unquote. It is being widely reported that the Raiders plan to suspend Brown, though Mayock did not say that in his very brief media availability today. And later, John Gruden was similarly evasive, leading to more speculation that Brown might not be with the team. Wilbon, I know you're a big Antonio Brown fan.
Yeah.
What do you make of all of this?
They all deserve each other. They do. Because Antonio Brown has behaved like a fool for years, leading to the Pittsburgh Steelers saying, just get out. We don't want you here anymore, right. And they could be better this year without him. Mike Mayock, I guess he has to send the letter, but as soon as I saw he sent the letter, for procedural reasons, you just said, Antonio Brown's not going to take this well. He's going to lash out and go social media because that's what he does. And John Gruden looks like a chump. He looks like somebody who's been punked because last year he got rid of 2 of the most impactful players in the league. He's going to remake everything and remake the culture and flex by getting Antonio Brown, who behaves essentially like a bum at every turn. He doesn't care anything about his team or his teammates. And the Raiders deserve Antonio Brown and he them.
So the fine story came out yesterday. You were not here yesterday. Frank Isola and I were talking about it. And I sat on the set and I said, this is a real mistake for the Raiders and Mike Mayock to fine Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown is volatile. Antonio Brown is an egomaniac. Antonio Brown lives in the moment. If you do anything like this, he will explode. And Frank tried to say, no, it's good cop, bad cop. And I said, no. And exactly what it is what I thought would happen. Antonio Brown had said publicly fairly recently, he thanked John Gruden for having his back. He said, I want to play for this guy throughout the helmet issues and so on and so forth.
Can't believe
by Mike Mayock and the Raiders. And by the way, it's hard for me to believe that Mayock does things that Gruden doesn't approve.
Gruden's his boss.
Right.
No matter what the titles are, Gruden has the power.
When you find this guy, it is so completely wrong. I suspect he's lost now. I suspect that down the road, Antonio Brown will be asked to give back all the money. And down the road, you know what happens when they cut him loose? The New England Patriots pick him up for nothing.
But the Raiders aren't even. They're so soft. What happened to the Raiders? They're not going to suspend him. They'll try to fine him. They will put his butt on the field Monday night because they're scared not to. They've got so much invested.
What good
even though
does
the
it
draft
do if he
picks
doesn't
weren't
want
that
to play?
high?
If
he'll play. He's a diva. What else is he going to do? What's Antonio Brown going to do with the rest of his life? And where's he going to get the money to just do what the hell he wants, if not from an NFL team? Oh, the Raiders.
I don't know. I guess he could put his helmets on eBay. The NFL season kicks off tonight with a very attractive divisional game. In the 100th year of the league, 2 original franchises, the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears, will square off. They have already played 198 times, and the Packers are only 2 wins ahead. Wilbon, last season, your Bears won 12 games and the division.
Yep.
The Packers went 6-9-1. They missed the playoffs for the 2nd straight year. So should we expect the Bears to win tonight at home?
No. No, you just said the Packers have a 2-game lead. This has been a series of the Bears kind of control the.
This is like Duke, North Carolina.
Years.
I mean, with that many games to be that close.
It goes back and forth, Tony. The Bears had 2 things last year that, as optimistic as I am about this year, and I believe Trubisky will get better. I don't think he has to be, Aaron Rodgers. I think he'll get better.
That's a turnaround. You
but
hated
the
him
two
when they drafted
things.
him.
Catch up. That was 2 years ago.
I understand.
The
But
two things that are important about the Bears season last year and trying to forecast this season, the Bears had almost perfect health last year. Not just good health, great health. Hard to get that back-to-back years. And the Bears won last year with the last place schedule. They this year have what some people are calling, and it's a first-place schedule, the hardest schedule in the league. You combine those two, I can see the Bears going 10-6, being better than last year in a lot of areas, but not having as good a record. So am I expecting them to win tonight? No, they kind of need to win tonight, and I hope they do. I'm not expecting.
Do you think they will win tonight?
It's a pick'em game.
Well, do you think they're going to win tonight?
I want them to win tonight.
So you can't even commit to saying they're going to win?
I can commit to wanting my team to win tonight.
I think the Packers are going to win.
Of course you do. You're trying to get me to say something that you want. No, you believe what you believe.
That's right.
Okay?
You believe in nothing, obviously, because you can't even make a
things.
pick. I believe, and I understand that Aaron Rodgers has trouble throwing touchdown passes in Chicago. Like, he hasn't thrown one since week 1 of
but they're
2015.
playing awfully early this year. The weather's perfect. There's no.
I think that Aaron Rodgers is, for the first time in the latter part of his career, under actual pressure. I think the change of coaching.
Fire him? What are you gonna do?
No, but I think there's pressure. I think he feels this pressure. I think he will respond well to this. But to be fair, the thing that is most impressive about Chicago is Khalil Mack and the defense, which is the identity of the Bears for 100 years.
You have a kicking game to go with that, and we don't know if we have one. Let me say this real quick. People are saying, well, the Bears can't produce as many turnovers this year as they did last year. Garbage. I got the Bears producing more. Because teams historically don't go back-to-back with an enormous number of turnovers.
I think Rodgers is going to have a good game. I do. I like Rodgers.
Rodgers had a good game last year, and they won the opener, and they split. That's often what happens. Let's do something foreign to you, Tony. Stay in the Midwest, specifically Indianapolis, where Jim Irsay has just reportedly turned down a $3.2 billion offer for the Colts franchise. The team tells the Indianapolis Star the club simply is not for sale, not now. Irsay just turned 60 years old. He's in the prime of life with plenty of money, and he's one of only 32 NFL owners. So why would he sell the team?
So I go under the assumption that almost everything is for sale for the right price. And I'm going under the assumption on this story that this was leaked by the Indianapolis Colts because it benefits them. It benefits them to set up that somebody or some organization offered them $3.2 billion. And what that says to me is, I'll listen to your bids. Maybe you'll get the number that I want at this point. I tend to agree with you that Jimmy Irsay is not the kind of person who would sell this team. Maybe we agree on the reason, too. He grew up with this team.
Yeah.
He was 13 years old when his father got this team. He is not a businessman. This is what he is. This is why I don't think Dolan is going to sell the Knicks, because it's a similar circumstance. But $3.5 billion is a staggering amount of money, and it is possible.
He's already got enough money.
It is possible that Irsay will say something like, the luck thing has bothered me, and I don't know that I want to be there for the entirety of a rebuild. I don't know.
I don't believe any of that. I don't believe anybody has to leak it. When you're a rich guy and you got all the money you need in your circumstance.
Isn't the money tied up in the Colts,
circumstance? Yeah, but Tony, he owns the Colts. They're his.
I know, but
nobody can take them away.
But you only realize the big money when you sell.
You realize a rich life. He's got that.
He's got that.
He wants to someday stand there and hold the trophy, the Vince Lombardi trophy.
He's done that.
Okay, well, you'd like to do it again.
Yeah,
that's why these guys do that.
I mean,
so why would he need to sell?
It's not like an owner who's never won. He's won.
Okay, but what's
Mike, I don't know.
What's he going to do? Let's say he lives to 85 years old. What things he going to have for 25 more years going to be more fun for him than this?
I don't know. Right. Maybe a motorized golf cart. I really don't know.
He can get one of those for a lot less than $3.2 billion. We're going to end this block with an NBA story of sorts. In a podcast with teammate Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball blames his substandard shoes on part of his on-court woes. Lonzo says the shoes were so poorly constructed, he had to change them out after every quarter. And he said, quote, "It's crazy, right when I switched my shoes, all of a sudden, magically, I got good again," close quote. Tony, are you buying that the big baller shoes were the issue with Lonzo's game?
First of all, raise your hand if you ever thought the big baller shoes were going to be any good to begin with, which nobody ever thought. I think shoes are important to all athletes. I've talked to enough athletes in my life in all sports where if it's not right on your feet, that affects you mentally. And I understand that. But I'm going to look at
you physically.
I'm going to look at Lonzo Ball's career 2 years in the NBA. The number 2 overall draft pick. He's averaging 10 points a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. He's shooting 38% from the field, and far worse, 44% from the line, where your shoes have no effect whatsoever, and he won't even drive to the basket because he doesn't want to go to the line. I think he's a bust so far. I'll give him a little bit of slack where I'll say that your shoes can affect you mentally. But to say that this is all about your shoes, I don't buy that.
First of all, who chose the shoes?
He did.
Is he an indentured slave? Somebody make him wear the big baller shoes?
Well, he was helping his dad sell product.
Well, then blame it on your father. Look your old man square in the face. Remember, this is the reverse commercial that Spike Lee and Michael Jordan did. Is it the shoes? I guess it was the shoes. And it can affect you physically. You can't, if you don't want to drive to the basket, if you can't drive to the basket because you're wearing a bunch of garbage. Even Phil Knight's shoes had to be tested. Like, you know the stories that guys tell? Well, guys like Ahmad Rashad, who were essentially shoe testers for Phil Knight in the old days, they would come back and say, Phil, the shoe is in half. What was Big Baller going to do after a year?
How much do you give to the shoes in this? Because he's got a new chance with a new team.
Okay, I give a lot to the shoes, but it doesn't matter. He made the decision to wear the damn shoes.
Take a break. Coming up, we'll get back into the latest Antonio Brown developments with Tony Dungy.
We'll also ask him what he expects to see out of Aaron Rodgers and his new head coach.
Do you think he turns it around, Lonzo Ball in New Orleans? You think he becomes great?
A really good player.
Really? Because he's
really Pardon the Interruption is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15%.
America analyst Tony Dungy.
From where? Where's he coming from?
From Chicago.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I thought you meant from where, like Pittsburgh,
Soldier
where he
Field,
played.
baby.
All right, let's start with this, because we'll get to the game. But the Antonio Brown news overshadows everything all day long. You were a coach. How would you handle Antonio Brown?
Well, first of all, I don't think I would have traded for him, because I would have said, if he can't play for Mike Tomlin, I know he can't play for me. You hope people are going to change. You hope a change of scenery helps, but it usually doesn't. So I feel bad for Antonio. I feel bad for the Oakland Raiders team. No one wants to go into the season with this type of disruption and distraction. So hopefully they can get it straightened out and worked out, but it's not a good situation right now.
As our dear friend John Thompson used to say, 75% of coaching is in the selection. So I think this kind of thing is what he was referring to.
That's where I tried to do my best work, yes.
Let's move to tonight's game, Tony, and you're, of course, there in Chicago for it. And the offensive philosophies are very different between Mike McCarthy and Matt LaFleur, who's going out for the first time on the sideline as a head coach. Do you, however, expect to see the same Aaron Rodgers, or are these systems going to make him look different to us?
I think we should see the same Aaron Rodgers. As a coach, your job is to get the best out of your players. And I know Matt LaFleur has a system that he believes in, and yes, you've got to implement that. But you have to utilize the strengths of your players. And so Aaron Rodgers needs to look like Aaron Rodgers, hopefully an improved version of it. I went through a little bit of that when I went to Indianapolis with Peyton Manning, and he was very concerned, we're going to take the explosiveness out, we're going to be conservative. And no, we're not. I've got some principles I believe in, but we're going to get the best out of you, Peyton, and I'm sure that's what Matt LaFleur is doing with Aaron.
Let's go to the other side of the ball, because your bread was buttered on the defensive side of the ball. The Bears had a great defense last year, sort of a return to the kind of defenses they used to have. But that defensive coordinator left to become a head coach, and a new guy is in there. What is the effect early in the season of that kind of change?
Hopefully it won't be much. Chuck Pagano is in the same boat. He's got to put his stamp on things, put his system in place, but you don't want to break what's not broken. So he's got to say, what do these guys do well? How can my system fit the strengths of all of these players who have been great? And I think Chuck will do that. I think we'll see a defensive unit that looked a lot like last year's with just a few wrinkles.
Let's go to part of the Bears that has a lot of us worried to death, Tony, because it seems like nothing can undermine a baseball team, a good one, like a bad bullpen, and nothing can undermine a good football team like a bad kicking game. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going on with the Bears in that locker room in terms of their confidence in the kicker under the circumstances?
You know, we talked about selecting players, and I think that's the key. They've got to get a tough-minded kicker, a kicker who, forget about leg strength and all that. Can you go out there and make that kick when we need it? When you're playing great defense like the Bears do, and that's your style, you're going to play close games. And you've got to be able to know we can get these 3 points when we need them. And these first few weeks of the season, it will be very interesting. We sat out here at Soldier Field in rehearsal yesterday, and I watched these flags on the goalpost change 5 and 6 times in 10 minutes. This is not an easy place to kick. So you've got to be mentally tough as well as a physically good kicker, and we'll see what happens. But they need to make some big kicks early in the season for sure.
I will get you out of here on this, and I will tell the people at home that before we went on the air, we were talking about how you used to play 6 exhibition games, and everybody played when you broke into the league. They played them all. Now, people don't play even one snap in these 4 exhibition games. And with that in mind, I ask you this. Do you have a sense as you look forward to this season who's good? Like, what are the teams you think are good? Because they don't show anything.
I have no idea, and that's why I'm so excited for tonight. I'm so excited for this weekend because I want to see the New England offense without Rob Gronkowski. What is that going to look like? I want to see Pittsburgh and how this whole thing works without Brown and Bell. I want to see Chicago tonight and this new Aaron Rodgers offense. What's that going to be like? I have no idea. And I know the players that I coached in the past they'd been so frustrated of not getting out there and getting some timing in and getting that feel. So we're going to see in this first 3 weeks who's good and who isn't.
So, but in your mind, is there one team in your mind where you say, if I had to bet on one team this year to emerge, is there one of those teams for you?
Well, I'd always bet on the Patriots based on past history, but I like the Jacksonville Jaguars. I was at their training camp. I believe in Nick Foles, and I think he's going to be the glue that brings that unit together. They've got defensive personality. They've got a big running back, and I think if Nick gives them stability and belief and hope, they could transform and be something special. I also like my Colts. My Colts, everybody's down on them. Andrew retired.
Yeah.
They've got a great offensive line. They've got great weapons on offense at receiver and a tremendous defense that can take the ball away. Everybody's kind of sleeping on them. I think they're going to win 10 or 11 games this year.
Tony gave us San Diego last year.
That's right.
He told us the
That's
Chargers
right.
a year ago today.
And he was right.
So we'll see if he can go 2 years for 2 years.
Thank you so much, Tony. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
NFL kickoff begins on NBC at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight. Let's take one last break, but still to come, Lamar Jackson says he hopes he'll be quarterbacking the best offense people have ever seen on Sunday. Is that possible? No. No, it isn't actually.
And is Serena a lock to make it to the semis tonight?
Yeah, that wouldn't be the Ravens offense, would it?
No.
The best possible ever?
Not even when they win do they have the greatest offense anybody's seen that season.
Tony Dungy, Jacksonville. He would have been 15, 18 picks.
Tony
Happy time, people. Happy 36th birthday, Lincoln Riley. The coach at Oklahoma has gotten the reputation as a quarterback whisperer for having produced 2 Heisman Trophy winners in his 2 years there. Riley prepped for this by being a walk-on quarterback at Texas Tech, where he backed up Cliff Kingsbury. This year, Riley has Jalen Hurts, whose debut last week was so spectacular, people are mentioning him for the Heisman. It's hard to believe a whole bunch of NFL teams aren't targeting this guy already.
It's not hard to believe, because this happens in college. Chip Kelly. Can I remind you how
He was targeted by the NFL.
Oh, and how did it work out once he got to the
He's
NFL?
targeted.
How'd it work?
Happy anniversary, Deion Sanders. On this day 30 years ago, Deion hit a home run for the Yankees while holding out from Falcons training camp. Later that week, he signed with Atlanta, and despite not attending a day of camp, returned to punt 68 yards for a touchdown in the opener against the Rams. My favorite Deion moment when he came to the Redskins was his offer to buy me a 3-piece burgundy suit with gold buttons. I feared I would look like a clown, so I declined, and Deion told me, "You look like a clown in what you're wearing now."
I remember that. I applauded him for that. Deion Sanders, one of the 5 greatest athletes in the modern history of sports.
Happy trails to Eloy Jimenez. Bases loaded, top of the 9th. White Sox down 2. Jimenez cracks what looks like a bases-clearing double. But Cleveland's Oscar Mercado makes a fabulous catch. The White Sox don't even get a run on what should have been a sacrifice fly because the runner headed for the plate with his head down, assuming the ball would drop. When the ball was caught, he couldn't get back in tag. Geniuses at PTI are loudly blaming the third base coach.
Here's a problem with calling it a completely fabulous catch. He had a bad break on the ball. He broke in on a ball that was hit over his head. He recovered great.
Big
recovery
finish,
was
quick.
fabulous. Let's do it.
Lamar Jackson says he hopes to lead the best offense people have ever seen. Is that reasonable?
No, and you know it's not reasonable. Jorge Soler, former Cub, became the first Royal in history to hit 40 home runs in a season. That's a big deal, isn't it?
50 years in the league and nobody hit 40?
He gave up on
Team USA beat Japan by 53 at the World Cup this morning. Are they back on track?
Japan's not any good. The game doesn't mean anything, except it's a win. Res reliever Michael Lorenzen became the first player since Babe Ruth to homer, get the win, and play the outfield in the same game. You're impressed?
It's a very interesting curiosity. I don't know what it means. The last one, Serena versus Svitolina tonight. Who you got?
Serena's going to struggle in this year. They're going to go 44 minutes, but I think she'll get the win.
A lot of time. We'll try and do better the next time. And I'm Tony Kornheiser.
Svitolina beat her the last time they played. I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the podcast or the app on Apple Podcasts. You know who I'm going to shout out to?
Who?
Irvin and Cookie. Thank you.